Hey, what's up guys? Today in this tutorial I will show you how to make this. Alright, so I know your time is valuable, so we will be going through this quickly and efficiently. But first, a quick heads up, all of these sounds are made with our brand new sample pack, Alamo Car and Slap House Super Pack, which is currently on a 50% sale. You can follow the link in the description, which will take you to the sample pack. If you produce any kind of car, slap or deep house music, this pack is a must-have. So I almost always start my drops with the kick and the sub. Now I like the kicks in this genre to just be a little bit softer than regular EDM kicks, so I used kick 11 of our sample pack, which is also my favorite kick of the pack, by the way. It's short and punchy while still remaining that deeper vibe. Now a quick tip: to find the key of the kick for any sample for that matter, I use G-Tune. It's a free plugin and it basically shows you in which key the kick is, or any sample for that matter. So originally this kick is in G. Now I wrote the track in F sharp, so I just need to transpose it down one note, or 100 cents. So now the kick is in F sharp. And lastly, I'm just lowering the volume a little bit in the mixer track, just to give some space for other elements. You know, you never want to work with the kick on 0 decibel. Alright, so let's take a quick look at the melody of the bass, which is really not doing anything special. Again, I wrote this song in a scale of F sharp major, and I'm not going into music theory in this tutorial too much, but it basically means I can use any of these keys. One important thing though about the rhythm of slap house music is often the swing. Swing in this context is basically a slight delay on the second and fourth steps of a beat. So every fourth note in a step is delayed a little bit to give that swingy, bouncy effect. So I always split my basses into two parts, the sub bass and the top basses. The sub bass will primarily just play the sub frequencies of the track. Now this sound is from my own Serum bank, which is included in the sample pack, and this one is called Foundation. This bass just really has a nice round and full sub sound to it. Now the mix of the sub bass is quite easy. I started off with leveling the volume, so the kick and the sub are in harmony with each other. Let's just play that. A lot of beginners I get demos from really have the sub bass cranked up way too loud, because most home producers are producing on 5 to 7 inch monitors, and these speakers sometimes have problems really giving you the lowest bass information. So a quick tip is to always check your mix in a nice club or car setting first before finishing it. Alright, so the first plugin I got on my sub bass is just a simple sidechaining tool. It's Volume Shaper 4 by Cable Guys. It's basically the same as Kickstart by Nicky Romero, but I like this one because you can actually edit the waveform, or the envelope rather. Next up is an equalizer. I made these two little dips at 130 and 300 Hertz because the sound there was a little bit too boxy for this track. And a general rule of thumb with equalizing is that you always make narrow cuts and you boost wide for a more natural sound. Keep that in mind. After that I just made a low pass because we will fill these higher frequencies in with other sounds later in the track. Last but not least is this little tool. It's R-Bass by Waves. This plugin can give a really nice edge to your bass sound. It rounds up the sub even more a little bit. And I put the frequency around 50 because that's where most of your sub bass will be playing. So the frequency you choose kind of depends on the key of the track, but mostly around 50 would be a good estimate. Now this cranks up the sound a little bit, so I just put the intensity down from 0 to about 4.5 to 5, and also put the gain down a bit, so the volume still is in balance with the kick drum. So now we got a really nice foundation for our track, and let's continue on to the top basses, which will really give it that slap house feel. Now the first sound here is a bass shot from our sample pack, bass shot 5. And I just made these little variations in length in the melody just to give it some extra more bounciness. So that sounds like this. Now the second top bass is again a serum bass from our own serum bank, and it's just it's a little bit of a future house kind of sound. Standalone, I'm not really a fan of this sound, but it works amazing when you layer it. So play together. It gives the first sound, that slappy sound, really a more rich and full body. Sometimes I use like 2 basses, sometimes I use like 6 basses. It all depends on how it sounds like. And right now I'm really happy with the sound. So let's continue to the mixer chain, which is really easy. These sounds standalone are just really good. I didn't have to do anything to them except for some EQing. So I took away quite some low end. And again, a very brick wall high pass to get rid of any sub information, because remember our sub bass here does all the sub work. And then again, just a simple side chain which plays around the same rhythm as the sub bass. So together you got this. Alright, so this already starts to sound pretty dope. We really have that slap house sound down. But to give it even more movement, I made a little pitch bend with each bass, just to give it that creativity and originality. All these automations transpose the bass up 1 octave. So if we zoom in a little bit, these basses, this note right here, gets just transposed 1 octave and it gets transposed down to the root note. Now to make this sound a lot bigger, we are going to use 2 brass shots, which are playing each starting note of the bass line, as you can see here. Brass shots are an amazing way to give your track that huge ambient feeling. For the brass in this track I used brass 1 and 2 from our sample pack. Now mixing wise there's not much going on, just a little bit of EQ to get rid of the low end and again some sidechain. So let's see what we got. Alright, so we're getting there. Now, in my opinion, a great way to have a solid drop, composition-wise in this genre, is to use a catchy vocal hook in the first part of the drop and something melodic in the second part, which we will get to in a second. So this is just a royalty-free vocal that I bought. So now I'm going to show you how to quickly stretch the vocal to the tempo of your project. And I'm going to show you how to get it in the right key. It's really simple. Now, originally this vocal was in 100 BPM and I know that my project is in 127. So all you need to do is go to the top left here of your sample, go to fit to tempo, type in BPM 100 because that's the original BPM of the sample. And now it's automatically stretched. Now this one is in A sharp major and our track is in F sharp major, so we just need to transpose it down 4 notes or 400 cents. So now our vocal is stretched correctly, it's in the right key. So now just let's take a look at the vocal mix. Now mixing vocals is an entire video on its own, but I do want to show you guys this little gem of a plugin. This is CLA Vocals by Wave. It's made by Chris Lord Algie, and I basically use it on all my vocals and it's a total game changer for me. So let me just play it without. And now with. Now it's such a big difference, and it's a multi-tool, which means it does compression, equalizing, giving it effects all in one plugin. And this is really my secret to make a vocal hit ready. Next up is just some little EQing, again getting rid of the low end, and again some sidechaining, a little bit shorter this time than the basses, because you still really want the vocal to be on the top. So normally I would have my basses maybe something like this, but I want the vocal to be a little bit more present in the mix. And lastly, we just got a fruity chorus on it, just to give it a little bit of a widening effect. Alright, so far we got this. So like I told you, I really like to A-B the drop with one part vocals, which I just showed you, and then the second part something melodic with some dope lead. Now these 2 leads are my signature sounds, but even these are included in the pack. The first one is called lead Alamo, and the second one is called Lead Money. Now again, I'm not going to dive too deep into melody writing in this video, but we know the track is in the scale of F sharp major. And these are the notes again which are in the scale of F sharp major. So technically you can just play around with these notes on top of your bass line to create a dope melody. It's just a little bit of trial and error in the beginning, especially if you're a beginner. It can be a little frustrating, but just keep listening to music and you will get catchy melodies in no time. So just a reminder, in the beginning we talked about adding swing to the bass. Again, the second and fourth note of each step is just slightly delayed. I'm doing the same with the melody here. Now, I'm not going to show you the mixed track for the leads because they really make it my signature sound. But if you get this FLP, you are able to see everything I've done to these leads, which is quite a lot. Now, the drums for slap house are pretty much the same as in deep house. You can really get creative with all kinds of head loops and percussion loops, but I do want to put an emphasis on the clap. The clap in slap house is almost always a pre-shifted, almost psytrance like clap, and this clap in particular is clap 8 from our sample pack. And it's just perfect, it just fits so well with the genre. So let me just demonstrate that. So the clap is really important. I advise you to not just use any clap, but really use a slap house specific clap, which again are pre-shifted, kind of psytrancey. And I got plenty of those in my sample pack. Alright, so now in the second part of the first part of the drop, I already have the open hi-hat playing a little bit. I just make it unique by doing so. And then I just made it a little bit shorter by moving this out knob right here. So this is already to give some variation in the track and some movement and already give it a bit of that uplifting housey feel. And then in the second part of the drop we play the full open hi-hat, as you can see here. And it starts with this really cool little trick. Basically it's 4 hats played in one beat and then with a pitch automation which goes from 1 octave down to the root octave, as you can see here. And also some volume automation to make it slowly come in. Now mix that in with a nice shaker loop, maybe some percussion and stuff, and you have some nice basic drums for your second part of the drop. So now we got this. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to show you, these leads in the second part of the drop is also played as a sort of fill-in in the first part here. And that's just to keep the track interesting, add variety, but also to kind of introduce what's coming already in a kind of subtle way. So when you hear the leads in the second part of the drop, you already kind of feel familiar with it, if that makes sense. So last but not least, we have some fill-ins and transition effects like crashes and sweeps to kind of fill up the track. It's stuff like this. And of course, fill-ins. This reverse sound. So thank you for your time, and I really hope you learned something. Even though this tutorial was made quite short on purpose, let me know in the comments what you liked or didn't like about the tutorial. It's my first time. In the near future I'm going to do a full production course with full-time track breakdowns, melody building, music theory and all that good stuff. Please like and subscribe for more free content, and the links to the FLP and the sample pack are down below in the description. Thank you.